G'day, ladies and gentlemen. It's Peps, it's J-Dog, and you know what time it is? It's the Tuesday night football extravaganza. That is Lace Out with your host, Chris Pepper, the 377-game East Keilor Football Club superstar. And you know what? The man, the moment, the legend himself, Jamie Wallace is with me, the co-host with the most, to talk about another awesome week of round 12 AFL football. How you going, big fella?
I am going very well, Peps. I mean, there's nothing better, but also nothing worse than when your team isn't playing the football for that week. Because I could just sit back, become old deck chair Ken, and just watch the footy and not have to worry about my own team playing.
Is that the bye you're talking about?
I'm talking about the bye.
So now you know what Collingwood, Hawthorn and North Melbourne members have been going through each and every week during the 2021 season.
Well, I enjoyed it.
You enjoyed it, not having to stress out? I can't wait for that. Tell you what, even barracking for the D's at the moment, I still get very, very worried that the wheels on the bus are going to fall right off.
All right, mate. What's the show agenda look like today?
Mate,
what are we doing?
I tell you what, this is packed tighter than John Holmes' jeans, ladies and gentlemen. It is chock-a-block of football, on-field and off-field stuff. We've got around the grounds with the newsbreaker, the news hound, Jamie the J-Dog Wallace. We're going to spin the magnets again. We've got the listener question. We're going to talk about what game are we looking forward to in 1 week at a time. We've got a couple of competitions to let you know about. We've also got, what is the ladder? We're going to go through that. We've got the rising star. And if we even get any time, we might even just have a bit of a chinwag and talk about what we're going to be doing this weekend, being the Queen's birthday weekend of football. There's so much to get into, so much to talk about. Everyone tuning in, everybody watching, everyone part of the show. We love you. Thanks for coming back week in, week out, because without you, we don't have a show. And without us, you've got nothing to listen to on your run or your walk or during a busy day at work. So, you know, it's a bit of we're fused together as one. When two become one, just like the Spice Girls said. Rightio, Jamie, let's get into it.
Okay.
Where do you want to start? Because I tell you what, there's just so much to get through. Should we just start with the ladder? Should we punch that bad boy out? Let's get into the ladder, everybody. Okay, so the ladder as it stands, round 12. And funny enough, if we have a look at it, nothing has really changed except for in the lower part of the 8. So have a look. The D's are at the top, 1 game clear with the Western Bulldogs on 40 points, Melbourne on 40. The Geelong Cats are playing this week, 32 points. Brisbane, Port Adelaide, Sydney all on 32. West Coast, Richmond on 28. That's your top 8, everybody. And the question I'm going to ask at the moment is the final 8 locked in? Because underneath that, we've got a team who's playing some cracking footy at the moment. Probably the most informed team in the last probably 8 weeks outside of Melbourne and Brisbane is Essendon and their Dreamtime loss on the weekend. And we'll get into that in a moment. Leaves them on 20 points. On the same with GWS, the same as Fremantle. St Kilda, You threw one away, let's be honest. You threw one away and you threw your finals campaign away. The Gold Coast Suns are on 16. Carl Tank on 16 as well. Then we get into Collingwood, who had a great win against the Crows. Hawthorn and North Melbourne at the bottom of the ladder. So there's the ladder after 12 rounds. J-Dog, thoughts and opinions just looking at that right now?
Just outside the 8 is still super tight with a lot of teams sharing 20 points. And I can see they've all probably got easy kills on the weekend. Essendon have got Hawthorn. GWS have got North. Fremantle's got the Suns. St Kilda's got Adelaide. So I feel that they probably all should have a win. And if one of those teams loses from there, they're probably going to lose touch. This is their weekend where they could lose touch.
And who's Collingwood got this weekend?
Collingwood, unfortunately, have got just some minnow of a club.
That's all right. You never know. They might have a future, that club. I think they're going to go all right. I reckon they've got a future.
Well, I mean, one thing you won't have is a crowd. So that's one thing.
Hey, we're used to not playing in front of crowds for so many years. It's okay. We're okay with that, everybody. All right.
Hey, you know what?
Let's talk about it, buddy.
That's gonna be a rough game.
It's going to be a rough game.
Oh, just Collingwood.
Let's talk about it at the end. Let's talk about it.
Let's talk about it.
All right, buddy. Let's start with a bit of news around the grounds and handing this one over to our newsman, Jamie Wallace. Where are we starting with this big fella? Because there's so much to talk about what's happened off the field.
Yeah. All right, let's probably go with the biggest story that's coming out of the papers today at the moment, which is carnage at Carlton. So the Blues have decided to bring forward a review of the club, where they're at. And the first piece that has fallen is today with John Barker deciding to leave. So what this probe is going to be doing, or what this external probe is going to look at, is every facet of the football department. We're looking at coaching, development, list management, fitness, performance, and importantly around culture and environment as well. So John Barker decided to leave. He's like, that's it, I've had enough. So his experience as an assistant coach includes stints under Lyon in 07 and 08, time as a forwards coach under Clarkson at Hawthorn in 09 and 2010, and also at Carlton since 2011. So he's been there for 10 years. Maybe he's read the tea leaves and maybe there's something else going on for him, but also maybe he thinks that he's probably on the chopping block being a 10-yearer and gone through now, quite a few coaches in that time.
Quite a few, goodness gracious. And this is the thing, like when you have an end of season review, bringing brought forward the coach, the president at the moment, Mark Laduduche, is saying this is not looking at the coach, it's looking at all the facets around him, which is a little bit hard to believe.
Bullshit.
When you got, as soon as you say you got full support of the board, you're going to be seek.com.au.
Yeah.
Look, here's the thing. They've made some mistakes with the players, and we'll go into that very shortly, who they've brought into the club. Their drafting hasn't been all that crash hot.
Mm.
You've had Malthouse, who's been one of the biggest coaches ever, couldn't do anything with this list. Brendan Bolton came in, wasn't able to do anything with this list.
Yeah.
And now they've brought John Barker, had 15 games after it finished up. And then you've had Teague, who's been brought in, who hasn't been able to do anything with the list.
Mm-hmm.
So is it the list? Are they expecting too much? Do they think that they're, by adding a couple extra pieces as they have over the last couple of years? And I'm looking at three in particular, Zach Williams, Saad, and also Jack Martin, all on big cash that have come across to Carlton. Were they realistic when they thought that they were going to be finals contenders? Not making it, but actually contending for a flag. They must have thought they were close if you're going after big names. And some of the decisions are just not
quality. Quality is quality, though. Like, that's what I thought they were getting. I thought they were getting a quality quasi centerman halfbackman, and a good also centerman halfbackman in Williams. And I mean, they've played majority at the back line, start off the halfback and then Williams off the other halfback. They've had some great games. They've had some good games in that list, but when you're paying Williams, what is it, $800,000 a year to play in the halfback? Which let's be honest here, Pep's halfback is probably the easiest position you can play. You've got no accountability other than just watching the ball come in.
No, but you said a lot of things up there. I'll put it this way: who would you rather have, Zach Williams coming off halfback, or Caleb Daniel or Christian Salem playing off halfback?
Christian Salem at the moment.
But you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He ain't going to be on 850.
Yeah, but exactly right. But I just think that halfback really is one of those positions where you should be paying people $850 for that position.
Yeah, I think they're worth their weight in gold. If you can get somebody who can set the ball up, stop it obviously coming into the back line, but be able to hit up targets consistently as those two players do, they're worth their weight in gold. But you have a look at some of their trades. Let's just go over the last couple of years. These are the players that they've brought in. We've talked about Zach Williams. We've spoken about Adam Saad. They picked Eddie Betts back up from Adelaide, so they brought him in. They brought Mark Pittonet in. They've brought in Andrew Phillips from Essendon. They brought in Jack Nunes from St Kilda. Any of those guys lit it up since they've come back?
No.
Okay. 2018, Mitch McGovern. Now, he was another one who's been played some really good cash coming from Adelaide. Has he done anything?
No.
Not really. Will Setterfield coming from GWS. Nick Newman. Alex Fasolo they picked up in 2018.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And if we go back 1 year before that we're looking at 2017. Matthew Lobby from Port.
Yep.
Matthew Kennedy, okay, for pick 28. And also Darcy Lang, they picked up as well too. So they haven't really done anything from that. And who have they let go? They let go Zach Tui in 2016.
Yeah.
So there's a lot more going out than what was coming in.
Mm.
And I haven't even mentioned, like I said, as part of that, they brought, and they got him basically for nothing, which was Jack Martin from the Gold Coast Suns. So they've brought a lot in, but once again, they've gone quantity over quality big time, and it's bitten them in the ass, something chronic. St Kilda have gone down a very similar route. The number of players that they're brought in from other clubs who have failed to achieve virtually anything. Dan Hanbury, you'd even forget he's a forgotten man of St Kilda at the moment. Like, he's totally not even on the park.
No.
You know,
but it goes beyond just their picks as well. Like at the moment, they've got Harry Mackay, who is uncontracted and is got links to a lot of clubs who would love a big young.
Would you love the big Harry? Would you? Well, apparently he only wants to deal with Carlton at this particular stage. They're looking maybe 3 years, $3 million. That was some stuff that was thrown on the Twitter sphere tonight.
Yeah. Right.
Would you pay it? Would you pay it?
No.
For Mackay? Not that much? Not yet?
No.
Is that one good season?
Yeah, one good season. Paddy Cripps, apparently he's locked in negotiations around a long-term contract. But at the same time, there's interest in getting him out of there.
Do Carlton need to look at it and go, okay, what can we get for Cripps? He's not going to go to West Coast because West Coast have no money left. They're chocked to the gills.
Yeah.
So they're going to have to go to Fremantle. Have Fremantle got room in their cap? Potentially.
Yeah. Well, then you've also got to balance up the fact that they've got Sam Petrevski-Seton and Lockie O'Brien and Brodie Kemp also haven't been offered any contracts from the club for 2022.
Well, what do you do? Like Petrevski-Seton's another one who seems to be the whipping boy. Every club's whipping boy. Who's Port's whipping boy?
No, don't know at the moment. Probably DBJ.
Yeah.
Hamish Hartlett.
Yeah, well, ours is Alex Neil-Bullen, and he's playing some good footy at the moment. Every club's got a whipping boy. Hey, if you're on the chat right now, tell us who the whipping boy of your club is, or get on our Facebook page after you've heard this and tell us who is your club's whipping boy. But
Jack Silvani, he's not also signed up. And then you've still got the senior players like Mark Murphy, Ed Kerno, Eddie Betts, Levi Casbolt, Charlie. What's going on with Charlie Kerno? We haven't seen him for 2.5 years now. Like, there's just decisions that need to be made that can make this club a whole lot better, but they're not taking them on.
Yep. Look, it's as simple as this. They're going to have to make the big calls. I think, who said it? Sydney said you can't stay in the middle, no man's land.
Yep.
You've either got to be at the top or you've got to be at the bottom. If you keep winning, if you keep ending up around about 8th, 9th, 10th, it doesn't get you anywhere. So you're going to have to slice and dice.
Yep.
Jazz Ruboy Chatsy said that for North Melbourne, it's Kane Turner. So thank you very much for giving us your whipping boy there.
Mm-hmm.
It's a challenging one because they are going to get some dollars. You think Mark Murphy's not going to go again next year? Eddie Betts, you think, won't go again next year. Mind you, I think he's second in their goal kicking this year. So that just goes to show.
Yeah.
So they're definitely going to have some cap, but Carlton's not a destination club.
No.
So they're going to have to pay people more to stay there or come to the club.
Yeah.
And where are they going to have it? Like, it's tight. They have their strategy. They're going to have to go to the draft because they won't be able to bring in big names because they won't have the cash to do so.
So, Peps, we're at the moment on the ladder. They're what, 17th?
17th?
16th?
Let's just have a look. I'll get the ladder back up again so I can have a quick look at it.
Thank you.
Yeah, look at it here. So they're sitting 14th. They've had 4 wins. They should have won on the weekend. They were playing the West Coast Eagles thirds.
Yeah, wow. That's another
some
one.
of that footage. Oh, goodness gracious. That's coach killer stuff. We've all been in teams where we've been in coach killer teams. What we saw on the weekend, oh my goodness.
So Peps, the one thing there, if you're at the bottom of the ladder, to me, if you're at the bottom of the ladder, it means that you're getting, well, obviously beaten a bit. But you'd think at that point in time that you'd also probably have some numbers going the other way. So at the moment, Champion Data ranks the Blues dead last for tackle differential this season and second last for pressure factor differential. So they're conceding an average of 54.9 inside 50s per game, with the only people on that same sort of number or below them being North Melbourne, Hawthorn, and Gold Coast are worse at the moment. They're conceding 53.9 points from turnover, and they're ranked 14th of that. So they just, for a team that is losing a lot, you're not even tackling. You're not even there for that.
But the gap between their good and bad is so big. Their percentage at the moment is 92.4. Now, there's only a couple of teams outside of the 8 that have a better percentage, which is Essendon. They're at 102, which is great for a team who if they'd snuck in a couple of extra wins, they would have been almost sitting top 4. That's how close Essendon are. So they're in a really good spot. Outside of that, you've got the GWS, which we know are not too shabby on their day. And you've got the Gold Coast Suns, which, funny enough, have got a better percentage than Carlton. But outside of that, they're better than anybody else in that bottom 8.
Yeah.
So they're a team that's, funny enough, they can hit the scoreboard. They don't get blown away a lot, but they just don't know how to win.
Yeah. So let me just tell you this one here, Peps. This is probably going to make you like flashbacks to Melbourne. All right. So you might have a bit of PSD, you might have a bit of robo-copping action when you're memorizing about this. So the Blues have been unable to stop a lot of opposition run-ons during games and have conceded 30-point turnarounds in 25 of Teague's 40 matches in charge. Those momentum swings are not only Groundhog Day moments for Carlton, and in 5 of its 8 losses this year, the Blues have been within either 16 points or in front at the final change. But none of those games they've looked like challenging by the final siren. In fact, in all 8 losses so far this season, the margin has been between 16 and 28 points.
They're in no man's land.
That's just the system is just not the system. Whatever Teague's bringing in is not working.
It's not working. And the thing is, we know it can be turned around so quickly. We've got 3 examples of it where it's worked really well. Actually, probably even 4. Port Adelaide, beautiful. Look what they did. They had the mega draft where they picked the 3 kids. Mega. Essendon have done it last year with the 3 that they've picked up. Absolutely sensational. Melbourne did it 2 years ago when they picked up Jackson Pickett and Rivers. My goodness gracious, there's your 3 startups, a backman, a ruckman, and a small forward who they call Cyril 2.0, who I like to call Cozzy 1.0.
Yep.
Fremantle, they did it a few years ago. Brayshaw, Chera, that sort of mix as well. Gold Coast, we know that they're struggling, but you can just see when Rowell gets his game going, they're a completely different team. Even Sydney to a degree, the kids that they've brought in, Logan McDonald, Warner this year, it can turn around quickly, but you've got to bite the bullet and say, okay, we need to make some hard decisions. We need to drop players regardless of what their name is, and we have to make the decision. Do we get rid of a Cripps? Do we get rid of a Petreski Seaton and pull some picks? If we're not going to use them this year, stock them for the year after. Richmond are in a fantastic position. I didn't realise this, that they've got 2 first-rounders this year and 2 second-rounders in this year's draft as well.
Yeah.
So they've got 4 in the top 40 picks for a team that's won 3 out of the 4 flags and potentially could go on a 3-peat this year.
Well,
they've got it smart, mate. They've worked it out.
But it's also those things like at the moment, like on the weekend, Liam Stocker was drafted in as a first-round pick to be a tough inside midfielder. Sunday, he was playing the absolute sweeper role at fullback.
Yep.
And he had to try and contain Liam Ryan. Like, good luck with that.
Well,
also, Petreski Seaton, he was drafted as an inside mid. And guess what happened? They put him to halfback line. He was dropped after 6 games this season. And now he can't make his way into the 22. So you're not even playing these people you've drafted, these kids you've drafted into the positions that got them into that team, that got them the high draft stature.
Yeah, they're in a lot of hurt at the moment. They
don't know what is up and don't know what is down at the moment at Carlton.
Oh, look, and we're getting things coming in a chat like, Teague can't coach. Well, he's got to coach because he's got some sort of idea. You don't just get picked up as a senior coach. It's like when they say, "Oh, these footballers can't play AFL." You don't get drafted if you can't play the game. This is what annoys me when I hear this sort of stuff. I reckon a lot of it has to do, they take the natural flair of these kids and strip it out and make them system-based.
There's bloody athletes.
It shits me. Don't start with the athletes. The guy can coach. He just needs to get some support around him. Should we go back? This time last year, I was saying Simon Goodwin should be sacked.
Mm-hmm.
All right? And Joel Michael on the chat, who's been part of the show for, a couple of years, he was saying it as well. The Love Machine, my brother, Mark Pepper, he said the same thing. Big Trev, my dad, said the same thing. Go on to Demonland, they said the same thing. Then what happens? They get Mark Williams and they get Adam Uze to support him, and look what happens. It just clicks. So it might not just be him. Maybe the message, because they don't spend as much time with the senior coach. They spend a lot of their time with the assistant coaches, their line coaches. Maybe that message has got stale.
Yep.
This one is wow. There's a lot of things going on at the moment.
Yep.
There's a lot of things going on at the moment at that club. And a mate of mine, Brad Lloyd, is the football director there, and hopefully he gets through this. And he's part of the review to look at, okay, where's it all gone wrong? Because there's been a lot of changes and a lot of decisions made at that club at a list level, pay level, maybe even a coaching level. And Barker said, you know what, I'll fall on my sword now. I can't do anything more than what we're doing at the moment, and I'll move on. And hey, he's been an assistant coach basically since 2007. That's a long time being an assistant. He was under Lyon for 2 years. He was a forwards coach under Clarkson for 2009 and 10. He's been at Carlton since 2011. That's 11 seasons. That gets a bit stale after a while.
Yeah, and look, Carlton, they just as we've got mentions here in our chat, they just got no game plan. They just don't have take the hit, take the really crap time you're going to go through, because between 2015 and 2020, you've picked up 11 first-round draft picks. Like, why aren't you playing? Why aren't you developing them? Why are you still playing these 32, 33-year-olds and picking up Eddie Betts, who's 117? Like, why are you doing that?
You got to drop the name brand. You got to drop the name brands. Stop dropping the easy targets. St Kilda, I don't care what you say, Buzz. A couple of weeks ago, you lost and you said you were going to swing the axe, and you got rid of a first-year kid and some no-name. Like, really, absolutely piss weak in what they did. They didn't make enough of a stand. And once again, what happens on the weekend? Oh, well, I'll go and kick 1 goal 6. I'll go and kick 1 goal whatever. It won't matter. I'll get a game again next week. That's the attitude a lot of these clubs have. You've got to turn the attitude around. The players are responsible. The coaches are responsible. The club is responsible.
Hey, I'm loving Rude Boy getting stuck into you about your club. Some of it's picks.
That's all right. I love a North Melbourne supporter getting stuck into a Melbourne supporter this year. That's okay. All right. You'd love him right now. Let's be honest. You'd love a bit of Ben Brown action. You got rid of him for the wrong reasons. Okay. What's next, big fella? Let's move on from Carlton, because they've had enough pain and there's a lot more to talk about.
Where do you want to take this next conversation? Do you want to talk about?
Yeah. I think I reckon Adam Goodes. I reckon this is a real shame.
Yeah.
2-time Brownlow medalist, 3-time best and fairest winner at the Swans, 370 something games, has rejected a Hall of Fame invitation, was voted in unanimously in his first year.
Yeah.
And it's mainly due to the way how he was handled with the booing situation in the last season of his career. Mm-hmm. And probably not just that season, just for a number of seasons leading up to it.
Mm-hmm. Now,
if someone came to me and said, Peps, we want to put you into the Hall of Fame, I'd be like, I should already be in there. But yeah, the AFL Podcasting Hall of Fame, I reckon we are shoo-ins, mate. Shoo-ins. All right. And I reckon the community will behind us. This is a real travesty, because if we separate all of that booing side of things and just bring it down to the way this guy carried himself as a footballer and how he played the game for so long, well, he's going to go down as one of the all-time greats at Sydney, full stop. One of the all-time great players, Indigenous players. So for him to reject it, I hope it's just maybe for this year. I really hope he does go back and realizes, you know what, we can make amends.
Yeah.
This is also going to lead on to something who I had a chat to late last week, Jamie. So we'll get onto that in a minute.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, he has stood up for what he believes in, and I think Joel Michael put it perfectly here. He said, "I like it. He's standing up for what he believes in and putting those beliefs before personal accolades, and I respect him for it." And I do. We've had this many times that the good bloke syndrome gets you into the Hall of Fame, and there's people who have been absolute superstars, and we're not throw that term around lightly, who are not in there, and then there's people who get in there because they've got the nice guy factor. He should be in there for the right reasons, and for him to say no because of that, that's a disappointment for the Aboriginal Indigenous community, and it's actually a bit of a disgrace to us as supporters for us to be doing that, and we did it for the wrong reasons. And I'm not saying that I did it, but when I say us, I talk about us as football followers.
Yeah, look, it's just sad. Like I would have thought 5 years ago, 5-6 years ago now. I mean, he's deeply hurt. That is apparent to everyone. But I'm sad for the fact that the AFL hasn't come out and tried to mend and try to bridge and try and learn and try and understand about what he was going through. Like, they haven't, from the outsides, it appears that they haven't even made that effort to go to Adam, because Adam is still holding a lot of pain around his last year as a footballer and a lot of pain towards the game still, because you can't even watch a game of football.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
I'm sad that someone like that isn't going to be in the Hall of Fame for all the good that he's done.
Well, I reckon the Buzzman has got a good point here. He reckons he'll accept it when Gillon McLachlan ain't there. And after what I've been reading over the last couple of weeks, last week or so, and who I've been speaking to over the last week or so, that's not exactly a mute point there. Buzz, I reckon you might be on the chocolates there, my friend, and especially after, like, good old Nick from Port Adelaide has said, especially after the So Doug Nichols round, which had, like I said, we'll get into our votes later on, but I love Sir Doug Nichols rounds, because I love it how they play the home and the away. It goes for a couple of weeks, and I think it is sensational. And for what we saw at the Dreamtime game, my goodness gracious, you can have your night grand finals and all that sort of stuff, but Dreamtime, regardless of where it is, gee, that was a corker. You know what? And so it's a shame to have such a great weekend embraced by all. Have a bit of a sour note finding this type of news out this morning.
Yeah. I mean, there's nothing else to say about it. It's just, for me, it's just sad. It's just sad that it's for everyone.
It's just sad. That's right. Exactly right, mate. Okay. Hey, let's belt another one out really quickly. Taylor Harris is now part of the D's. So if we know, a couple of weeks ago, she was wanting about 150 grand. Carlton were like, you're not going to get it. Going around a little bit. She finally ends up at the D's. She's officially at the Demons after a super mega trade. Now get this, involving 3 states, 7 players, and 5 clubs revealed this morning. She's going to be on some good coin, otherwise Melbourne wouldn't have got it. She did play for the D's. This is the interesting thing. She did play for the D's when they used to have the annual Melbourne versus Western Bulldogs game. So she knows a few of the people around there. And I reckon, to be honest, as a Melbourne supporter, I'll say this. I think it's a great acquisition, especially from the marketing side of things. That's where they'll be looking at it, is that she's probably the best known name in the game. She's the only player at the moment that has a statue. Erin Phillips will get hers out front of the Adelaide Oval eventually.
Yeah.
And you can build your whole marketing campaign around her. She's on TV ads. She's got her Amazon documentary coming out. I think this is a really smart play by the D's to get somebody, and then hopefully, pull the digit out and play some good football at the same time.
Yeah. Yep. Look, Carlton basically said, we're never going to meet here. So
fair enough.
Sorry, you cut. And Melbourne picked her up. I don't know. She has her knockers, but she has her fans. I am probably somewhere in the middle.
That's good. Yep. Look, you know what? Hey, listen, she just might need a fresh voice.
Yeah.
Maybe she was listening to Tiki. I don't know. All right.
Who knows?
Hey, can I? I've got some great news, and I love doing this every single week. I want to talk about the rising star for this week, Nick Cox. My goodness, Essendon supporters. I know there's a stack of you on the chat right now. Have a look at that, because finally the guy that you apparently think is going to win the rising star finally got a ticket into the draw too. So he had an absolute corker. He's been sensational. This guy's 2 meters, playing on a wing, 23 disposals, kicked 1.1, 1 goal, 1. That's for people who are not too sure what 1.1 means. 295 meters gain, 8 marks, 7 score involvements. He has just been sensational. He and Perkins, you should be very, very, very happy, Essendon, because you finally got him in. Will he win it? I don't know. There's a couple of good ones up there, and I'm not going to be too biased, but Trent Rivers is a massive chance. But yeah, there's a lot going on there, so it's good to see him finally get the recognition that a lot in the public. It probably wasn't his best game either. I think he's had some better ones as well too, but it's just the way it is. So Rocco Matafari, I love Rocco. Rocco's son. I played footy with Rocco's son, Vinny. Vinny is known as the duplicate because he. When they pass the torch on, so, the number 5 goes from Polly Farmer to Gary Ablett. Or the number 2 goes from Robbie Flower to Stephen Tingay. The number 6 went from the great Chris Pepper over to Vinny Matafari, and he has held it up in such a high esteem. So he's an absolute superstar, Rocky. And he just said it this way. He is our blue chip. There you go. I'm even going to put it up on the screen. He is our blue chip. And I reckon you have got that black and red chip absolutely right, Rocco. So absolutely well done. All right.
Love it.
Where do we go now, big fella? This one's over to you. I'm handing it over to you, giving you the reins. It's your pick of the segments. What segment would you like to rock on this time?
Let's do Spin the Magnets.
Spin the magnets, everybody. It's time for votes. It's time for who's getting dragged. All right, so I'm going to open this one open to the chat. We can either go, do you want to hear the 3 votes first, or do you want to hear who's getting dragged? The first response coming in on the chat will be what we go with tonight. I can see them typing away. This is the one that people love every single week. They love it how you look at it. They look how we look at it. And so I'm just waiting for someone to type something in. Otherwise, I'm going to count to 5 and do it myself. Dragged. Buzzers come in with dragged. So let's get Ron out. Where are you, Ron? Where is good old Ron? All right, here we go. Ron, here we go. Ready, J-Dog?
Got it.
Oh, it just doesn't get old. I love it. We still want to get a graphic designer to put that quote into a T-shirt for us. So if you know someone, help us out. We want him. All right, let's have a look at the drags. How about I start with the drag first, and then you finish off? All right, I'm going to go first. Right, first and foremost, the one that I want to go to, I reckon this is, if we had actually accumulate the votes week after week, the AFL umpires would be leading by about 48 votes, I reckon. I'm giving them another vote for holding the ball. Did you do some of them in the Dreamtime game?
Look, it wasn't pretty.
It wasn't. It was not pretty. It was a bucket of smashed crab pretty. It was you've been beaten with the ugly stick pretty. It was walk straight past that. It wasn't any good whatsoever. And it was read out this morning. I think it might have been on SEM when you look at the rules of the game and what the rules are regarding holding the ball and that. The rules don't even make any sense anymore. It's if they didn't make an attempt or didn't connect, which is like, what's going on? So the rules around holding the ball, they really need to get fixed up because the AFL wonder why people are not watching games or why people are not going to games. It's because of stupid things like this where you want to get rid of the tackle and not reward the tackler.
Yeah.
So that's a disgrace. All right. The second one. Now, I wanted to bring this one up because this happened on the weekend. We know a gentleman by the name of Jack Higgins kicked 1 goal 6 on the weekend.
Mm-hmm.
And the AFL, who preach equal rights, for the LGBTQI community, women's football, equality amongst all, anti-bullying, all that sort of stuff. They are such a double standard industry when they come out and write Missy Higgins on their website describing his performance on the weekend. And you're also talking about SEN who did that and probably Fox as well. So there were a couple of channels, and I might have got SEN wrong, but I know Fox did it. And I know St Kilda went around and rung a number of the clubs to say, we're really pissed with this. But I'm probably more pissed off at the AFL because they preach, this is what we're all about. This is what we do. This is what we don't stand for it. And then they're the ones that go and do it on their own website.
No, I saw it differently. I thought it was clever. I had a bit of a laugh at it.
No doubt it's clever, but, mate, he's kicked 1 goal 6. Pepper, if you saw him by the end of the game.
Come on, Pepper. You know that's a bit of a joke. No one's getting offended by Missy Higgins other than Jack Higgins himself. I loved it.
All I know is that when I read it, it did seem familiar and it did seem a little bit too close to home. All right. And the last one, look, I have to mention it. We've already gone for it. Look, the other one I have to mention is probably the 3 votes, and it's happened quite recently. We've gone into it. Is Carlton. Is there a bigger story on at the moment? I thought Collingwood couldn't get any bigger, but this is now taking the cake. And if I could just quickly go again with Collingwood, I know we've gone over it lots and lots over the last couple of weeks. But did you know that this whole voting for an extraordinary general membership, extraordinary general meeting, there's only like 17,000 of their members who can actually vote.
Yeah, right, okay.
Well, because 28,000 of them are the pets. And so what are they going to go?
Does your dog have a pet membership?
Pardon?
Does your dog have a pet membership?
Oh, no way. No.
Okay.
But, it's just It's just a shocker. Unless you're one of the high tier members, they're the only ones who get a vote. So they are the people's club, only if your players a good swag of cash. All right.
Yeah.
Go next one, mate.
All right.
All right. Who are you dragging, big boy?
Well, mate, you know how last week I decided to go with a key theme.
Yep.
To all of my votes, and yeah, I did love that from Gary. Good work, Gary. Good call. I thought, you know what, I'm going to go with this because this is going to be my spin on it, Peps. My spin on how I want my 3-2-1 to go, because it's too hard coming up with little moments. We're going to talk about the same thing all the time, so we're just going to go for it. We go for it. So the key word, Peps, to my 3-2-1s, my drags, is accuracy. If that wasn't one of the worst rounds of football for accurate kicking at goal, I will go he. I don't understand. Peps, your team is in the firing line. 14-13. The Sydney versus St Kilda game, 13-14 versus 12-11.
Yeah,
Adelaide Crows, 10-13. The dream time at the Optus
at the bowl
was 12-12 to 19-9. So good work, Richmond. I'll give you a tick there. But also we've got West Coast Eagles 14-11 and Western Bulldogs 13.15.
Peps,
what is the theme of my round? What was it, Peps? What was my
accuracy?
Accuracy. That was some of the worst kicking for goal I have ever seen across the board. That is terrible. That is pitiful kicking from professional footballers, Peps.
I actually say that you're wrong, because in the D's Bears game, we had 6 posters. Do you know how hard it is to hit the post?
That was right. You did smack the post.
We hit 6 times. We hit it.
Yeah. Fair point. Fair point.
And it was a high pressure game. Something that Port Adelaide wouldn't know too much about this year.
Oh,
and that's why there was there was quite a number of rushed behinds as well too. But once again, I'm telling you now, the reason why they don't kick them is the balls. It is the balls. I'm telling you now, the balls need to be kicked in.
Oh, I've got one more.
Go for it.
It's a humble brag. Now, I don't know if anyone else notices this, but who else? Who in the room here has Foxtel HD? Anybody? Me? I do.
What? Do you still subscribe to that overpriced, underperforming channel?
I absolutely do, because KO's terrible.
KO's the best.
All right.
With 8 people.
All right. So, anyone out there has Foxtel HD? Any night game, does it look like there is like smoke or fog on the ground, or is that just my TV? Because I'm telling you, at nighttime games, I still reckon, I believe that there's like a fire going on the ground somewhere.
It's who has Foxtel, mate.
Is it just me, everyone? Is it just my TV?
It's your standard definition internet cable that you've got, mate. That's
no. Foxtel HD, at night time, it looks like someone has left fireworks going on the ground. There's just smoke haze across the whole ground.
It's not HD, mate. Don't get sucked into it. My KO, for the people who have KO like I do, and you run that, my goodness gracious, how sexy is that picture? It blows Foxtel away any day of the week.
KO is terrible. KO is the worst subscription service since Shifty Flicks.
Oh, what about OnlyFans?
Oh.
You told me that's costing you a fortune at the moment.
I had KO for 12 months, and I went to the missus. I said, "Darl, this has got to change. I'm booting KO. Give me back my Foxtel HD. I'm happy to pay my $62 a month with a few packages chucked in for that."
No, don't need to.
Oh,
I love you, KO. All right, let's get off. All right, what's your other ones?
No, that's it.
So that's it. You just put everything together.
Inaccuracy, yeah. It's just accuracy.
Okay. It might just be your TV too, by the way.
Or
you've got cataracts.
Fuck, don't go that too early.
Could be cataracts. All right, let's go have a look at who's going to get
3 votes.
3 votes. You want to go 3? I'll go 3 votes first. What do you reckon? I'll do 3 votes.
Yeah, you go 3 votes.
Right, let me pump through these 3 votes. First and foremost, how could you not want to give a vote to the little tattooed beast who destroyed Adelaide on the weekend? Jamie Elliott hasn't played for virtually 3 months, I think it is, with a broken leg, comes back and shows Collingwood, look, if you just hit to the guy on the lead, you could be half a chance. And that was a comeback game and a half. The problem is that he was nailing everything in the first quarter. And then after that, they hardly used him as an option from second quarter onwards. It was stupid. It was just burning everybody. So Jamie Elliott, 6 goals on a return. That, my friends, is a proper bag because it's more than a handful. All right? Okay. Second of all, if you haven't seen this is an absolute ripper. In the magnificent Friday night Melbourne versus Brisbane game, I saw one of the best Falcons I have seen in a long time. Jake Lever running with the ball, running away from the ball, turns, looked like Stephen Hawking at one stage, the way he was twisted in his face, and he has copped an absolute falcon in the side of the head. It was gold. I even rewound it. I said to my wife, "Hun, have a look at this." And she cacked herself laughing, thinking it was funny. So, Jake Lever, you have been sensational. And even when you're not stopping the ball with marks, you're stopping it with your forehead. The side of your head. So that was a cracking falcon. And look, there's only one thing I can give the 3 votes to, and this is a 2-parter. First of all, Sir Doug Nicholls round. I love it. Everything's sensational, right? What's that?
Stole line.
Right, but hold on. But I also want to say what the WA community did over there with the Dreamtime game. Spectacular. They've blown away anything that the M's they've done over here in Melbourne. Just starting it off with the top. My goodness, John Butler. I forgot how good of a singer he is. And then the best thing was that you had a game to back it up as well. So to the 2 teams, to everybody involved, getting the Sir Doug Nicholls round, also getting Dreamtime set up. That's 2 years in a row. Once in the Alice in Darwin, the other one in Perth. It has been sensational. And so claps for you. And I might even throw in, just because I'm feeling a little bit happy, I might even throw in a nice little round of applause in there as well.
I like it. Well, perhaps I suppose the one thing for me that I loved about the Dreamtime was the fact that we didn't have to hear that terrible reworked edition of the West Coast song by the Birds of Tokyo. It's a terrible theme song. I enjoyed it, something different.
That's why I wait till Hawthorns comes out by the Wiggles.
Oh, freaking hell. All right.
Well, apparently, just because of all the inclusion side of things, I've heard that Frente are coming back to do St Kilda's theme song.
That is beyond my. That's more my. That's beyond my time.
Just think when the Saints to incidentally Cali Street. Oh, accidentally Cali Street.
Yeah, good song. Peps, my theme for my picks here. Sir Walter's round. And if I'm going to be specific, I'm going to talk about the guy who literally made you nervous when the ball hit the ground, and that is Kozzy Pickett in the forward line. You would not want any... do you know, the only thing I can think of in my reference of, like, in my brain and how it works is, you know when you see the swimmers in the water in the movie Jaws? And you're like, oh, no, he's around. And that music starts creeping. Dun, 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 dun. That's exactly the feeling I got when Kozzy Pickett, when that ball was just bobbling in the forward 50 loose. And I'm like, Kozzy's coming through in a second. Kozzy's going to come through, hit it hard and snap a goal. And what did he do more often than not? He hit it hard, he tackled, he chased, he kicked a goal, or he put a smother or a pressure on a player to miskick it.
He reminds me of the Ghostface Killer out of Scream. Just when you think that you're safe, and he gets you a tackle or a goal. Yes, good. It is. That is Byron Pickett's nephew, Jazz Boy, and Rocco Matafari's come out with a corker here. Meatloaf is being booked for Carlton's next win.
So Sir Walters is the round for me. I love that round.
Hold on. Is it Sir Walter or Sir Doug Nicol? Are you saying like Sir Walter Buffalo after the grass?
I've got my grass side up, and I've also got my footy side up over here, and I've just mixed them up. Anyway, my next thing into here is I do want to mention another little highlight. I love the Sir Doug Nicholls round running into the Queen's Birthday match for Fight MND.
Oh,
I just think that is a cracker of a little 2-week window.
Can I just say, though, this is the thing that pisses me off about the AFL, right? They've done all this stuff for Dreamtime. They took the game, that they took the walk, the long walk, everything attributed to it, and they did it over in Perth. The whole reason you go to Queen's birthday is for the slide, to see people slide into the icy water. That's what it's all about.
80,000 wearing the Freeze M&D caps.
Exactly. You're going to get what? Maybe 15,000 at the SCG, and the slide's not going to be there. They're going to be doing that in an empty MCG. It's just stupid. Send it to Adelaide. Send it to Perth, somewhere where they're going to embrace it.
They did it last year, I suppose. The same thing.
No. Just don't. No, it didn't work. They should have said, look, you know what? We'll do the sliding the next time they played, as an example. But it's just stupid. You got to have the sliding in there. Pick out some other people to do it in Sydney. Maybe do half in Sydney, half in Melbourne. Just get some sort of reason to go to the ground. That's what the people go there for. Crikey, they're not going to go and watch Collingwood.
No, especially the fights that old mate Ed and Collis had over the years. So yeah, fair point. Peps, is that it for the news and a bit of a spin the magnets?
Yeah, these my
have we got the best part of the show coming up?
Oh, the listener question.
Oh, we got the listener question.
No, that we've dropped that.
Ah, shit.
Of course, it's the listener question. Let's go through it because this one it was a belter. This listener question, it went nuts.
It did get a little bit of traction, didn't it? Out there,
little bit.
People are really passionate about their chocolate bars.
They love their chocolate bars. Tell me about it. All right, so let's go to the listener question. Let's belt this one out.
All righty. Okay. So the listener question this week was, I'm going to get down to it. What is the best chocolate bar? And we had a stack of replies in this one here. To quickly go through just a list here, I've got Joel Michael said Caramilk, and then got into a bit of a chat with the wifey. We also had Kane Ute, Old Gold Rum Raisin Yummy, not bad. Jennifer Booker said Tolbarone. Tony Godfrey said the one you enjoy the most. That's a bit plain for me, but I get it. Faye Ryan, Violet Crumble, Forgotten Hero of the Aussie scene.
Oh,
Colleen Parbury said the best was Darryl Lee Chocolate Log. It's before my time.
Shit.
Carrie,
is that before colour television?
Carrie Bennett said, gosh, I can't even find a top dog, but I do like the hazelnut. There we go. Marie Thompson, Cherry Ripe, another Aussie classic. Ian McNabb said Tolbarone. Michael Ryan, Polly Waffle. There's one that has been been brought back yet, or is it?
Yeah, the Polly Waffle's back. They brought that back, and they also brought. I'll tell you what mine is in a minute, but yeah, there's another one that they just recently brought back, which is just.
Nelly Senny said it's the Cadbury chocolate. Buzzer said tough question. Golden Ruffs. Now that's way beyond my time.
Is that what Buzz said? Golden Ruff?
Yeah.
Or was he just talking about St Kilda's performance this year?
Kobe James said a picnic. Neil Ventuck said the Aero Bar, which is a classic. It's a bit of a mint chocolate. It's one of my favorites. My wife has come out and said it's a twirl chocolate. And then Josh Weymouth has said the same thing. Hit it on the head. Then we've got a Chiquito with a
That's my wife's favourite, the Chiquito.
Yeah.
If you take a bite of the Chiquito, you're sleeping alone for the next 6 months, Christopher.
Wayne McKenzie said the Peppermint Crisp.
On a
Big Nick from the Porches podcast has said the Simple Mars Bar, but he also said the Viking Bar before it went out of production. Never had a Viking Bar, but a Mars Bar is always classic and even deep fried. My wife has said also the Turkish Delight, which is also scrumptious and it can also be consumed in one bite. Jazzy, Jazz, he said Boost. Boost, has got a bit of both there. Picnic from Corey Vandertuck. Scott O'Keefe said the Cherry Ripe. Jenny McClarish said the Marathon Bounty or just a plain Cadbury milk chocolate. JD McNair, Butterfinger is hard to beat. Cameron Henderson's posted a picture of Snickers. We've got Mark Pepper, Love Machine, Crunchy from the fridge, and the default is a cold Kit Kat.
Yes, Love Machine.
Sard said the Crunch Bar.
2 times.
Yeah, and Gary Vandal McKenzie has said Kit Kat when it was a Roundtree product, not Nestle.
Gary. Yeah, do you know who Gary is? Gary is Lee Mac's dad, who used to work at Roundtree.
Well, there you go.
There you go.
We've got Lynn Ewing has said a picnic or a marathon in there. And then under all those things, the people have then got that chocolate bar and had side conversations. But there is
They had sidebars.
At sidebars. There is a fair amount of chocolate bars in there. Peps, what is your favourite chocolate bar of all time?
First and foremost, it's good to see that we're keeping dentists in a job and the man shake. Now I can understand why it's going through the roof because the amount of chocolate that was consumed by our listeners, unbelievable. Mine is the Scorched Peanut Bar. Recently came back after many, many years hiatus. It's just like a toffee with peanuts, chocolate over the top.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Very good.
All right. What's this week's listener question, big fella?
Don't you know what mine is, Peps? You're just that rude of a bastard, are you?
I'm just looking at you, mate. You're that thin. I don't know. You're dressed like Gary Ablett tonight.
Well, all right. So I've got a couple, Peps. But for me, I'm a huge, huge fan of a fantail. The old fantail when they used to do a little, like the bar, like the little bars I used to do.
Okay, yeah, no.
Don't remember them for the card trips?
I just like the fantails, yeah. No,
Fantails. If not, then a Snickers for me. I love a Snickers.
Yeah, and I kick cat out of the fridge and a ccrunchy out the fridge too.
Yeah.
Hey, you notice the chocolate bars are getting smaller? That's crap. But everything's getting smaller these days. Look in the mirror.
Some things, Peps.
Well, don't worry. When you get into your 40s, J-Dog, and you're up for some Pfizer, you're going to need both the Pfizer jab and the Pfizer pill.
All right. An AstraZeneca man myself. Anyway,
okay.
All right. So let's go to this week's listener questions.
All right. What is it? What is this week's listener question? Then we'll go into our games that we're looking forward to this week.
All right. I know we're going to be over time tonight, aren't we?
Oh, but there's so much to talk about.
I know.
That's a great thing about a podcast. You don't have to listen to it all in one big hit.
No. All right. So
listen to a bit and go a bit more and go a bit more and just rack up the stats.
Listener question this week is, what is your favourite weird food combo? Come on, Peps.
Give us an example, mate. Can you give us an example?
All right, I'll give you an example. Let's say, let's go jam.
Yep.
And Savoy biscuits.
That's not weird. Do you know what I have? I'll help the listeners out. I love poached eggs with maple syrup.
Well, there you go. That's a weird
poached eggs and maple syrup. That gets me going. Love it.
So what is your weird food combos that you enjoy that shouldn't go together but they do?
Nutella and bed.
Nutella and bed.
Hello.
Oh, there we go.
Right. What's that?
Did you see Nick's post up there? That's a weird one. Friend who loved pancakes with Vegemite and tomato sauce.
Yeah, that and he got COVID.
See, weird.
That's how COVID starts. That's how COVID started with crap like that.
That's weird. So I've had someone who eats there's a weird, like it was like ham and jam sandwiches or something. Like it's just weird stuff.
We've had such a great episode. This is what we finish week every single week. All right. Okay, so give us your combo because Jamie puts a lot of thought into the question most weeks, and this was one of them that he really spent a lot of time figuring out. Okay, so let's have a look at 1 week at a time. Plenty of games coming up this week. J-Dog, what catches your eye? Look, there's not really much to talk about, but
for me it's simple, Peps.
It's Thursday night for you, isn't it?
It's Thursday night, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
That's going to be a corker. Port Adelaide versus the Cats, 7:40 p.m. Look, I'm being a little bit jealous.
So nervous.
I'm so nervous. I'm being honest too. I'm the same, mate. 3:20 p.m. at the SCG. The what's it called, mob? The D's versus the Pies for the Fight M&D game.
Is that the game you're really looking forward to most, Peps?
Well, I'm a Melbourne supporter, so yeah. I just hopefully we can smash Collingwood.
Yeah, I would have thought you would have gone something different. Like a West Coast Richmond home game or something?
No. Northern Giants, no. St Kilda Crows would be an interesting one. How long will I actually watch that for before I turn it off and put on an Ally McBeal episode?
Who are North playing? Giants? Oh, that'll be...
Yeah, Jesus. I think you could basically turn the footy on Friday night, maybe watch the Dockers and the Suns will be all right. I reckon that won't be too bad. And then just skip everything else and turn it back. Oh, actually, yeah, Fremantle, Richmond might be all right. Okay, there's a few good games. Yeah, but I'm just looking forward to my team.
Yeah, hey, smash them.
Rightio. Last thing, J-Dog. So, couple of things.
No, Peps. I want to talk about something first.
Yes. Yeah. What?
You recently just dropped your latest Chat With series. And I must say, I was listening to it. You sent me a bit of a a bit of a pre-copy, as we do, as being the host. We get secret stuff behind the curtain. You sent me a copy of your interview recently with Mick Warner, who is a AFL Herald Sun journalist and author of a new book that I will let you talk all about in a second. I must say, it was a cracking interview. It was only a snippet into the book and into some of the stories of the biggest scandals of the last 10 years in the AFL. And just the 40 minutes that interview went for, I was salivating, thinking, I've got to pick this up. I've got to read it, and I want to know more about some of these stories because there are some juicy stuff that we, as football-loving public, were not part of.
Well, look, honestly, I chatted to him for about 40 minutes. We could have gone for an hour. We could have gone for more, but I had to get back to work. I'm kidding. Yeah, I did. And then I had to, but we just went on and look, he talks about the Essendon drug saga and he talks about tanking and he talks about the West Coast, brown paper bags, all this sort of stuff. But we got onto a couple of the topics that we've probably been forgotten, like the Talia brothers, if you remember that one that occurred. We also we did talk about the tanking saga and how that all came into fruition. We talked about Hurdy and basically, with Hurdy, they gave him a slap, but then sent him over with $1 million to go and study overseas. And just the corruption within the AFL. I'm telling you now, if any of you play amateur football, know or work with Craig Kelly and play polo or come from Adelaide, you've basically got a job at the AFL for life. And just how it's, here's one thing for you, and I don't know if you know this, listeners. Do you know the AFL don't pay tax? Just think about that. Okay. And so all the money that comes in, they don't pay tax. And that's the stuff that Mick comes up with his book. He was absolutely sensational to talk to. And I'll let him know it's all gone live. And he had a great chat. And you never know where it's going to go. Hopefully he books another book. So if you can get a copy of the book, I'm actually giving one away. So all you need to do is just jump on our Facebook page. At the top of our Facebook page, which is Lace Out Podcast on Facebook, just share the comment and like the page, and you're in the chance to win it in a couple of weeks' time. So I'm giving a copy of that book away because that's how much I reckon it is an absolute belter. So thanks to that J-Dog because it was an absolute ripper. As on top of that, also don't forget, just one last thing. I've also got a beautiful box of AFL footy cards to give away, 36 packs. That's going to be finishing in a couple of weeks before we wrap up. And J-Dog, just want to rip it over to you. One last thing before we hang it up. Go for it.
Quickly, Nick just wants to quickly mention this one here from the Portress podcast, so I will read it because it is against Adelaide Crows, which I do love. The fine that Adelaide copped, the $50,000, was an AFL fine. Shouldn't have been more of a police/government fine. Once again, the AFL just working their little magic.
Well, here's another one for you. Do you know if players this is another one that I heard, it's not in the book, but if you have a player gets suspended, I think I've mentioned this, or cops a fine, it's actually a tax deducted because it's a work-related expense.
Yep. Crazy. All right. Well,
how good is it? You can smack someone at work and actually claim it as a tax deduction. That is amazing. Hey, that is a cracking episode tonight, mate. Thank you very much, listeners. Thank you very much, everybody tuning in on the chat. Isn't that been an absolute belter? I'm sweating. I've got my 25-year-old East Keeler Football Club jacket on, just celebrating because local footy's not going on at the moment, so we're sharing the love. Sharing the love with the listeners every single week. So thank you for your support, J-Dog. You're an absolute star, mate. We can't do the show without you. The people love you. The people want more J-Dog. I said they don't want Gary Ablett Jr. They want J-Dog.
Or Juddy. What about Juddy?
Or Juddy. Juddy? No, you actually look like a Russian sailor, to be honest. But hey, listen, I hope your team wins this week. So on behalf of me, good luck to you, J-Dog. All the best. And more importantly, big fella, how do you want your footy?
I want to lace out. Questions live, everyone.
Questions live. And we're not see you Thursday for Tipped Out. Hope your team wins.
See you, listeners.